Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Radha Vinobihari Mandir, Govina Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patik Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinobihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, the other side. Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Hari Nam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Śrī Satyavrata Muni.
Namo
Chiranandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gaura Virbhava Bhuvesvam Nirdeshta Sajanapriya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannāthāya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitānaṁ Pāvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahāvadanyāya Krishna Premam Pradayate Krishnāya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradhishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Takta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandam Matirgati Matsarvasvatparam Bojo Radha Madanamohano Divyagrindaranyakaldrumadam Śrīmad Ratnāgāra Sindhāsarastho Shri Shri Radha Śrīla Govinda Devo Preshthāyibhi Sevyamano Smarami Śrīmad Rasarasārambhi Vanshivatattakaskitaham Arsham Venu Sanargopi Gopinath Shriyesunaha Vrindaye Tulasine Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavrata Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahādāvagni-nirvāpanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyamadhuri Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritashvadanam Sarvatmosnapadam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram Eva Kevalam Haro Nastyeva 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 Gati Nanyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
So, I think it is today that Devotee Prabhu is not coming, not tomorrow.
You think?
He's usually here by now, and he's not.
What did he write you?
I'm just checking my messages.
Did he say Christmas Day or Christmas Eve?
I don't know the difference.
Christmas Eve is the night leading up to Christmas Day.
This is not... Okay. So, let's see. Devotee Prabhu is here. I have been invited. At midday for Christmas. this means I will not be able to participate. So, I don't know.
We don't know if Jiva Pavana Prabhu is with us today.
I don't believe he is.
So far.
So far he's not here, so I don't know, maybe if anybody could put the bhajans.
Is Lavanga there?
I don't see Lavanga here either. Yeah, so Jiva Pavana Prabhu isn't with us today, he's with his daughter, so if anyone can post the bhajans and kirtans from KK Songs or Gaudiya Vaishnava apps, that would be absolutely wonderful.
kksongs.org O-R-G or Gaudiya.
Oh, Lavangalata is here. She's
Dandavat Pranam.
So maybe Lavangalata, if your computer's up today, well, maybe you can post the bhajans, because I don't believe that, yeah, she says me here. I don't believe Jiva Pavana Prabhu is going to be with us today. So maybe if you could post the bhajans, that would be so wonderful and helpful for the devotees and us. Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam all Vaishnavas.
Dandavat Pranam. So we're going to sing Gurudev Kripa Karke in page 360. 360 in this songbook. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko Apna Lena.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu did give me a notice, but I actually thought it was for tomorrow, not today, so
He did say for Christmas Day, right?
but
Anyhow, no worries. Okay. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko Apna Lena. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko Apna Lena. Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Gauri Gurvarga ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai. Vaishnava.
I know Shri Daya Paramore is for Mahaprabhu, but it's got all the...
After. This is not for Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
Sakala Vaishnava Gosai, Daya Kurumore, page 46. Sakala Vaishnava Gosai, Sakala.
Doesn't this have one? A better one?
It's the same.
Never mind.
Yes. Okay. Sakala Vaishnava Gosai Loya Kurumore Dante Trina Dholi Kohe Edino Pamare
Sakala Vaishnava Gosai Daya
Shri Guru Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, same or Sampada, page 50. 50. Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sevoro Sampada.
Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sevoro Sampada.
Vanchasi Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai, page 60.
Akrodha, Akrodha Paramananda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
O Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Abhimana Shunya Nitaya Bhagavate Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Koromore. Page 96 in the songbook, or I don't know who's posting. Is it Lavangalata?
I believe so.
So go to the post of Lavangalata, and there you will see in the comment section of the thread that she is posting the bhajans there, along with their translations, hopefully. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Koromore, Tamabina Ke Dayalu, Jagata Sansare, page 96.
That one that you did before.
Yeah? It has no variation.
As you like.
Okay. I'm not familiar enough with it. Next time, I'll have to practice the other tune.
It's just
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Koromore.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya
Premananda Page. Bandhu sange jaritava rang parihas. Where did that go? Page 124. Bandhu sange jadi tava ranga parihas. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
Page number
341. I think.
If it's going to be really fancy, I'll just play the Kārtika. Kishori?
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite.
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 Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Karuni Mandala Mahite. Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodarāṣṭakam Varadhanaveshe. Varadhanaveshe Hari Sutta Vrindavineshe. Davineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Vrishabhanudodhi Navashashilekhe. Vrishabhanudodhi Navashashilekhe. Lalita Sakhi Gunaramita Vishakhe. Lalita Sakhi Gunaramita Vishakhe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe Vrishabhanandani Srimati Radharani ki Jai. Now we will sing Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, page 290 in the songbook.
She's already got it down.
Namamishparam Sachidananda Rupam. What tune are we doing here?
The old tune, the Gaudiya tune.
Gaudiya.
I'm just playing cartas. Once again. Because it's that tune I can play with the redunda, just have the wrong rag on. Namamishwaram. 1 second. Śrī Satyavrata ki jai, Śrī Radharani ki jai, Śrī Radha Vinobihari ki jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Shadagram Shila ki jai, Laddu Gopal ki jai, little one ki jai. I can't even see him, he's covered. It's cold. Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Satangadam Gurudev Rajaman Yashoda Go
Praju ki Jai, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Prabhupada ki jai, Gurupada Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Deo. Do you want this? Or is that enough?
I could use either. Whatever. It's good for you.
Do you want this?
Sure.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Just so you know, many of you have heard this before, but some may have not. Why I don't just go into the Mangalacharan, the prayers, the mantras, invoking our Guru Varga just before class time, is because many years before, maybe 1996 or 98, I can't remember exactly, but Srila Gurudev was having different devotees speak. I think it was on the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. And as the devotees were sitting down, they were adjusting the mics, doing this, and chanting their Mangalacharan at the same time. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Aisa. Like that. That was Hindi. Aisa. So, Srila Gurudev said, stop. And they stopped. And he said, first fix everything. First prepare everything. Get your drink of water. Take your throat tablets. Fix the mic. Get everything prepared. And then do your Mangalacharan. So I remember that. And so before I start, before I'm doing anything, first I make sure I have everything in place. And then I begin. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Nityanamine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Nityanamine Vanchākalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langayate girin yat kripātamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashtotarashat Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashtotarashat Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauri of Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas, Radhe 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 Shyam.
Radhe 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 Shyam. So Devi, did you want to mention anything about the roaring lioness daughters of Gurudev? Okay, we'll discuss that part later. Today we actually have quite a lot to discuss because Srila Gurudev is still discussing the subject of mukti. Mukti meaning liberation. And it gets quite involved. Yesterday we spoke in quite some depth about it, but still, it is a big subject. And it is quite a powerful subject, otherwise it couldn't destroy, or at least the threat of the destruction of the inclination of one to serve Krishna, which is their nature, it couldn't do that unless it was quite a powerful or attractive concept. And sometimes, like Raktambar Prabhu wrote yesterday, we may be in a situation where we think, I don't want liberation, and we could just kind of scoff at it as if it's something that's not actually attractive to us. And yet, what do we see even in the world today? So many feel that their rights are being encroached upon. And what are they really screaming for? Liberation, freedom. How dare you encroach upon my God-given rights? In most of history, really, it wasn't like that. Only recently have there been God-given rights allowed to be explored, because in all of history previously there were kings and dictators and everything else, and only recently democracy has evolved to a certain point, which can easily be upturned in a moment. But the point is that so many are screaming for liberation, and we think that's not me. It's not me. I don't want liberation. I want to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. And then, of course, any little difficulty comes, and immediately we're crying and praying for freedom from that suffering. That's another word for, or another term for, liberation. Liberation meaning freedom from suffering. Excuse me. So, the only way to really get rid of or to get over this inclination for desiring freedom from suffering is to be under the guidance of the pure devotees who have or who are experiencing a much higher taste than that. And by seeing what they're experiencing, by being in their association, we will be able to tolerate all eventualities. I think that's in one of our bhajans. Maybe Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya. Please give me the mercy to be able to tolerate all eventualities, whatever is coming my way, and let me focus my mind exclusively on the loving service of Radha and Krishna. So even in the pranam mantra of our Srila Prabhupada, there it says, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Namaste Saraswati Devi. It really means, O servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. What are you doing? Gauravani Pracharine. You are preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. This implies that he is cutting the idea or the attraction for impersonalism and voidism. Shunyavadi. So impersonalism means acknowledging that there is a God in a sense as a divine energy. But we can't put a face to him or to it. We can't put any attributes to it or qualities to it. It's just the undifferentiated it. And the idea that personalizing that it would actually be limiting it. That's impersonalism. That it has no form, no qualities, no attributes, no feelings, no anything. It's just the great it. Sometimes known as the white light, sometimes known as the divine energy. That doesn't mean Srimati Radhika. Sometimes known or projected as a ray of sunlight coming through an opening in the clouds, or the supreme unknown, or nirvana without variety. Nirvana means without variety. So that's one aspect of Godhead, the variety-less aspect. According to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, those who know the truth, varanti tat tat pravidas, they see from three different perspectives. Tattvam yajñānam advayam, and they understand that actually they're not separable from each other. Brahmeti, some call it Brahm, means the impersonal feature of the Absolute. Paramatmeti, The localized feature of the Absolute, meaning Supreme Lord, is present within everyone's heart, within everything, outside of everything, omniscient, omnipresent, but also personalized. And then, Bhagavan iti shabdyate. It is known according to these different aspects. Bhagavan is the full-fledged, personal expression of Godhead. So from one extreme you have Nirvan, without variety, and the other extreme you have Bhagavan, full of all transcendental variety. Nirvana, Bhagavan, full of all transcendental variety. And within the Absolute, we cannot deny anything. Where do we get form from? Where do we get personality from? Where do we get individuality from? Where do we get feelings from? Where do we get any quality from? It must have its source in our source. We cannot have something more than what the source has. We are only one infinitesimal particle covered by so many material layers. But that infinitesimal particle is also made of transcendental substance. Krishna says, Mama eva angsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Mama eva angsha. My own parts and parcels. They are also eternal, just like me. We are, in essence, Krishna's tatashta shakti. The jivas. Krishna's marginal potency. So Krishna has his own internal potency, and all of his transcendental associates are of that. Then he's got his marginal potency, that is jiva tattva, what is present inside these material coverings on each individual of all material creation. And then there's the external Shakti, or Bahiranga Shakti. So he's got his internal, his marginal, and his external. That is also known as Maya, or matter. So, just double checking here, making sure, okay. So we will tend to cry for that freedom from material suffering if we are on our own without proper guidance, because that is the nature of every living thing in this world. To the degree that I struggle to enjoy, Jayavadharma expresses this in, I think, chapter 16 by Srila Bhaktivedānta. To the degree that I endeavor to enjoy in this world, which is the natural proclivity of every jiva, seeking pleasure. Why? Because it's part of the nature of the soul, this ananda. We want to seek pleasure. When it is pervertedly reflected in this world, it is seeking pleasure for myself. And when it is properly manifested, it is seeking to please Krishna. And automatically, as a natural byproduct of that, pleasure, happiness, ecstasy manifests. But it is not selfish, it is for Krishna. But in this world, it is pervertedly reflected in the way that I am trying to be the enjoyer, like Krishna. Because of that, when we try to enjoy in this material world, the nice karmic balancing act is, to the degree that I enjoy, to that degree I will suffer. So it's like a feedback loop. Maybe many of you have experienced it, especially in India during Kartik. You know, when the microphone is turned up to, the input level is too loud, and the speaker catches the microphone, and then it starts looping. And what happens is it gets more and more and more. It starts getting loud and screaming until your ears start hurting and you have to cover your ears if it's not properly balanced. So what happens in this material world, according to Jayavadharma, is to the extent that we're endeavoring to enjoy, to that extent we will suffer. But that extreme suffering will cause us to try to enjoy even more. And then that will cause us to suffer even more. So it's like, I think the way, I'm going to do it this way. Starting like this, people with very little, their problems are very small. $5 in your account or $5 in your pocket, you have $5 problems. $1,000, you got $1,000 problems. $1 million, you got $1 million problems. $1 billion, you got $1 billion problems. It's just like that. So, for someone who has nothing, they don't have to worry about someone stealing from them. For someone who has a lot, there's always people coming after them with court cases, trying to take what they have, always eyeing them, checking, trying to steal from them, or somehow or other take their possession, their property. It's just the nature of this world. For those who don't have, they want to take what those who have. It's natural. So, as one is suffering, makes suffering low, to that extent they enjoy, they try, and then they suffer, then they enjoy more, then they suffer more, then they enjoy more, and then they hit rock bottom, suffering. At that point, Jayabhadharma says, then the jiva from that point of rock bottom begins to cry out in extreme anguish, in a sincere mood of surrender to the Lord, that I am done. But some do not do that right away. Somewhere around here, they're actually aspiring to become free from the dualities of this material world. Hence, they want freedom from the ups and downs. They're actually crying for the freedom from the ups and downs, and that is liberation. That liberation is only going toward the undifferentiated singularity aspect, where I don't realize my own existence, and I don't realize the existence of others, and I don't realize the existence of God or anything as separate from myself. And so, from one perspective, whether you're merging into the white or whether you're merging into the black is shunyavad. In Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, there's nir vishesh. Nir vishesh means, nir means without, and vishesh means variety or speciality. Without speciality. If I'm endeavoring or desiring to avoid any particular speciality or variety or oneness in a sense, where there's no difference between me or anything else, and I won't acknowledge my existence in a sense. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in fact, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Mayavadism is nothing other than covered Buddhism. Yes, the goal of proper Buddhism in this world, not most of the ones that we see now, the different ideas that have popped up, but the end goal is known as Shunyavad. Shunya means without. Anya bhilashita shunyam. Without any other desire. So Shunyavad means the conception or the desire of ceasing to exist altogether. So you can call it two sides of the same coin. One is ceasing to exist by being one with everything. In other words, not acknowledging your existence. And the other one is ceasing to exist by forever disappearing. In other words, not acknowledging your existence. Technically, the soul cannot be killed. So the idea of shunyavad, or to actually cease to exist, is an illusion in itself, according to our Vedic scriptures. But our Guru Parampara and our Prabhupada, in his own Pranam Mantra, he put Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, that he's uprooting these conceptions. Why? Because both of them are diametrically opposed and so far removed from what kind of mood is necessary to progress on the path of loving devotion to Krishna. Because they deny personality. They deny, in essence, that God is a person. That the individual soul will also be individual. And that there is a relationship, an eternal relationship between them. God, the jiva, or God and his energies, and love and affection, or interaction. They consider all of this to be illusion. In essence, they say it is Maya. That's why it is called Mayavad, or the conception that all of that is Maya. Krishna has some harsh words for those who say such things. In Bhagavad Gita he says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanam ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools, he uses the word mudha, it means foolish person, foolish persons. Avajananti mam mudha manushim. They deride me, they criticize me when I descend in my human-like form. Manushim tanam ashritam. They don't understand my true nature. Param bhavam ajananto. That I am the Supreme Lord of everything. Mama bhuta maha ishvaram. I am the Lord of everyone and everything. So those who basically criticize or say that my form is made of illusion or anything like that, Krishna says they are foolish persons. Mudha. And then he repeats it or confirms, but in another way. Janma karma chame divyam. Those who understand and know that my appearance, my janma, and my activities, my karma, are all divyam, transcendental. Upon leaving this body, do not have to return again to this material world. Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti, na iti. Mam eti Arjuna. He's telling this to Arjuna. So our Guru Varga, coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have very strongly preached against these conceptions. Why? Because if there is anything which is detrimental to one's progress on the path of loving devotion to the Lord, to Krishna, which is the intrinsic nature of every soul. Jivera Swarupahoy, Krishna Nitya Das, the eternal servant. All jivas are eternal servants of Krishna. But if there's anything which can be considered the most extreme and opposite from that, it would be the desire to be God, either Brahma Sayujya or Ishvara Sayujya, or the desire in essence to cease to exist, Shunyavad. Both of these are as far away from love and service as you can get. Even though it might seem that we are progressing, I've progressed and entered into, but it's as far away from loving service as one can get. Better to be here in the human platform, on any earth planet, because labdva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavante manushyam artatam anityam apiha dhira turnam yate tanapatet anumrityavan nishreshaya vishaya khalu sarvatasya. Only from the human form can one actually endeavor for perfection. Only from the human form. Not even from the demigod forms. They are enjoying too much. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri is too much. Their birth is too high. Their wealth is too much. Their education is too much. Their bodily beauty is too much. Their capacity to enjoy is too much. And those who have too little of those, means due to previous negative or unfavorable reactions, due to sinful activities, one may take birth in any species or in any family where they have not a good birth, no wealth, no education, no beauty, and they're struggling constantly just for survival, like so many animals in this world. For those persons who are struggling too much and suffering too much, also they cannot really engage in yoga. So Krishna is talking about yoga in Bhagavad Gita. That means one must come from a state of some kind of balance. Not too much, not too little. If you sleep too much or too little, if you eat too much or too little, all of these things Krishna speaks about. It's interesting. Tomorrow is Gita Jayanti. We're going to be observing the appearance of Bhagavad Gita. And it's also Christmas. And it's also Ekadashi. So it's a great day. So Krishna is saying, without balance, it's very difficult to engage in any process of yoga. Bhakti is also a process of yoga or connecting. Yoga means to link or connect. If we are suffering too much in this material world and we don't have the knowledge to be able to digest or understand or reconcile it, then that will also, in essence, disqualify us from moving on the path of devotion, because we'll be too absorbed in our own problems and difficulties. And if we're enjoying too much, everything is too good, then also this will be a disqualification. That's why Kunti Devi in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, she's praying to Krishna. Due to my difficulties of having too high of a birth, too much wealth, too much beauty and education and all of these things, it's easy to forget you, my Lord. So please continue to send these calamities again and again so that we can remember you and have your darshan. Because whenever they would remember him and call for him, he would manifest to them. So she actually prayed for these things. Let those come again and again so that we can always see you, so that we can be with you, so that we can serve you. This is a very high position. So with these ideas, it's important to understand what it is and to be able to recognize it. To be able to recognize it. Otherwise, if we are not aware of what it is and we can't recognize it, it may actually attract our minds, attract our hearts, because it's quite attractive. And it can pull us far away from the path of devotion to God, to Krishna. Not only will that not attract Krishna, but Krishna himself says that those persons with that mood, because they are also denying Radha, they are denying love and affection, which is the medium by which Krishna interacts with Srimati Radhika, that mood is Aparadha, against Radha, because it actually denies the energies of the Lord. It's just oneness or nothingness. So this mood is Aparadha, and if anyone is speaking these conceptions in a way that is favorable, glorifying it, then Krishna himself says that those persons who have that mood, that conception, when they are speaking about me and telling my name or anything like that, because their mood is against bhakti, against the bhakta, against love and affection itself, aparadha. He said, I take it personally, like an arrow to my heart. And this is not like Radhika's sidelong glances arrow. This is offense, aparad. Krishna accepts it as aparadha. And so for those persons, in essence, why is it so dangerous? What happens? The cold shoulder treatment. For that person who does not, is it? I'm trying to remember from this Radha Bhajane Jadi Mati Nahi Bela. The bhajans glorifying Srimati Radhika. There Bhaktivedānta Thakur. Okay, let's see. Here. One who worships only Madhava is ignorant, and one who disrespects Śrī Radha is simply conceited. Do not ever associate with such persons if your heart longs for the loving playfulness of Brajaras. If you consider yourself to be the maidservant of Srimati Radhika, then very quickly you will attain Kana, or Krishna of Gokul. We cannot conceive of the sun devoid of sunlight. Similarly, we cannot accept Madhava separate from Radha. I'm trying to find the other one. Radhika Charana Renu. Radhika Charana Padma. Where is it? It's the first one. Without the lotus feet of Sri Radha, one can never attain Sri Krishna. One who has failed to worship with great care Srimati Radhika's lotus feet who has not taken shelter of that abode called Vrindavan, which are decorated with the imprints of her lotus feet, who is not associated with her devotees, how will such a person ever experience the bliss of bathing in the ocean of ras, of ecstatic love for Sri Shyama Sundar? Please understand this most carefully. So, our Acharyas, Bhaktivedānta Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, our Rupanuga Guru Varga, they are placing this acknowledgement in the prime place of priority in the lives of those who are aspiring to be Rupanuga Vaishnavas. For them, that is their everything. And if we move in that other direction, why would Krishna want anything to do with that? So, he neglects such persons. And the idea of being neglected by Krishna is just quite frightening. Quite frightening. Basically, it's like being lost. As Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj would say, cast into oblivion forever, without being able to awaken one's mood of loving service to Krishna. So from that point, I'm just looking at Raktamba Prabhu's comments here. Okay. We're going to continue the study of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, and our Srila Gurudev is continuing speaking about these conceptions. I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview so that when we enter into this, we understand that we are learning about it so that we can recognize it when it comes to us so that we can avoid it. Because as we have traveled around the world, and I'm going to tell again, 19 years, every week in a different place, in a different home, and then even moving during that 1 week, going to different homes every day for programs. So many devotees, Krishna devotees, who are connected to Sri Guru, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, so many of our Guru Varga who have taken initiation, who are chanting and connecting to this path of bhakti, Rupanuga bhakti, still take association from those persons who are avowed Mayavadis, who chant Hare Krishna because, well, that's the thing you're kind of supposed to do in a kirtan, but they don't really have faith in Krishna the person. They just use Krishna as a step stool to arrive at their idea of merging. And we associate, I'm not saying we, but as devotees, so many associate with these conceptions or the Buddhistic conceptions which lead to shunyavad, or ceasing to exist, in the name of peace and love and everything else, not understanding what is the end goal. And so if our function, if what is necessary for us to actually progress on the path of bhakti is intense, greedy desire to attain a particular goal, then knowledge of that goal is essential. That is what will bring about that greed. What do you want? I want that. Okay, I will not stop until I get that. And that is the qualification for receiving the mercy of Braja Krishna, as we have seen in so many different cases. If we are also associating with other paths, it is also essential that we understand their end goal, to know if it is favorable for our progress on the path of bhakti. Because the first step on the path of bhakti, known as Shraddha, this is transcendental faith, is defined by its symptoms. What is that? Satya Sharanapati Lakshana. The intrinsic symptoms of spiritual faith or Shraddha are the 6 symptoms of surrender. The first is Anukulyasya Sankalpa. To make a firm resolution that I will only accept what is favorable in my life for bhakti. For developing bhakti and moving along that path where bhakti, devotion for Krishna, will be awakened in my heart. And that is naturally followed by its natural byproduct. If you make that kind of firm resolution to only accept what is favorable, then naturally you will avoid what is unfavorable. The next one that is mentioned is pratikulyasya varjanam. To make a firm resolution to avoid whatever is unfavorable for the development of bhakti. If we're maintaining all of it, then we will find ourselves not moving or even losing faith, becoming weak, because we're entertaining this path and that path, taking what we like and rejecting from every path what we don't like. Then we end up with our own thing, and that's why we're here in the first place, because we're following our own minds, our own path, and then we will not attain to any real destination because we're divided in too many points. Even Mahaprabhu was upset with Mukunda because Mukunda was moving to this group and taking their conceptions, then going to this group and taking their conceptions, and that one. But he wasn't taking the fixed conceptions of Bhakti, Grantha, Bhakti Shastra. But the pure devotees are telling in the path of divine love for Krishna. Mahaprabhu said, I don't want to see such a person. I don't want to be near such a person. Tell him he cannot enter, tell him to leave. But this is also displeasing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu also wants from us that we will develop what he wants to give us. What is that? Raga Marga Bhakti Loke. He wants to awaken within our hearts spontaneous love and affection for Radha and Krishna in the wake of the moods of the pure Brajavasis, the eternal associates of Krishna. But if we are taking so many different conceptions from so many different paths and creating our own thing, assuming that this is superior to the very clear, previously walked on path of the Mahajans, Mahajano Yena Gatasa Panta, they've walked that path, they've cleared all of the glass, the thorns, everything off that path, and if we just hold their little finger or very carefully follow their footsteps, we can easily attain to that goal. But if we are mixing, putting so many different conceptions in, then even one thing which is not favorable can fully drag the mind into illusion. So even when our Srila Gurudev would give Harikatha, he would say, stop everything else that you're doing and give me all of your senses. Full absorption, completely. Everything, give that to me. And then I will fill your heart with Harikatha. So it is essential to be exclusive and one-pointed. And so we can learn about all of these other subject matters, but we should learn about them from those who have our real interest at heart. What is our real interest? How to awaken what is already within us, our own nature. How to purify us of all acquired external natures and awaken our true individual selves, that is, the pure soul in its loving relationship to its eternal beloved. Our loving relationship with our eternal beloved, our own Ishtadev. This is what they want to give or to awaken within us, because they are the embodiments, the condensed form of the compassion and mercy of Krishna. So they've come to help us to awaken that. But in order to do that, we have to let old baggage go. And this is a difficult thing to do for us. I don't like change. I'm comfortable with this. This is what I know. I've been suffering since time immemorial, so I understand this. Let me be comfortable with this. And they're like, I remember Gurudev saying, you're wallowing in a pool of sewage. Come over here. I have a pool of nectar. I'll clean you off and I can bathe you in this pool of nectar. Come with me. But you don't want to come. So this is our great misfortune. We enjoy wallowing in that thing we are comfortable in. But from those persons who have that higher perspective, just like all the demigods and Lord Brahma, they knew that Indra, the king of heaven, had been cursed to become a pig. So he was a pig. And when the demigods said, we need our king back, Lord Brahma came, you're really Indra, the king of heaven. So why don't you come with me now? Give up all of this and come with me. No, I'm happy here. I get so much good food every day. So many wives I have, so many children. Can't you see my dynasty? I'm very happy. I don't want to leave. As a pig, he's happy in this situation. Again, Brahma came. Nope, not going. This is the life. This is it. And finally, by the arrangement of providence, this pig's owner, there was actually a pig farm, and the pigs were meant for slaughter. So one after another, the wives and the babies were being taken for slaughter. And he was weeping and crying so much. And our Gurudev said, even then they said, come with us, let's go. He's like, no, I can get more wives and make more children. And finally, of course, with the holy water and everything, he manifested his form as Indra, and then he went back to the heavenly planets. But this is like us here in this world. We are comfortable in our samsara. We have built so much momentum up within our samsara. This is what we know. I don't want to shift from my position because I kind of have an element of control within my realm of what I know. This is what I know. We're afraid to step out beyond our comfort zone into, what do they call it? The dark night of the soul. That realm that is beyond our knowledge and maybe even comprehension. But Sri Guru is there, putting his hand out, saying, come with me, trust me. So really, it's about trust. I have not, until now, been able to extract myself from this material world. Maya mugda jivanahi svata Krishna gyan. By our own power, we cannot extract ourselves from the clutches of Maya. So Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, has given the scriptures. But then we hear, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, by all of the Vedas, you can know me. So you read all of the Vedas and still, wait a second, I don't know Krishna. Something is wrong. How can you really know him as he is? Krishna says, only by pure, undivided love and devotion can you know me as I am in truth. Only by that. Bhaktyatvananyaya. Only by ananya bhakti. Ananya means without anything else. Exclusive love and devotion can you know him as he is. Where do I get that? How do I get that? How do I awaken that? Pratamam tu gurum pujam. First of all, you worship Sri Guru. Then you will understand. If you think you're my devotee directly, you're not my devotee. The devotee of my devotee is my real devotee. Okay, it's starting to make sense. If you want to study Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Jaha Bhagavata Para, Vaishnavirasthane, at the feet of a Vaishnava, in the association of Vaishnava, because those Vaishnavas, they have already realized their relationship with Krishna in love and affection. And so, just as we hear in the prayer, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sarma, it says, Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoite. Guru makes Krishna appear in your heart. So it is essential for us to hold tightly to the lotus feet, the instructions of the pure Vaishnavas, and follow their lead. They're our guide, our guru, our leader. Follow that lead, then we can avoid all of the pitfalls which can drag us in any direction and deny us our eternal birthright of loving service to Krishna for who knows how long. In other words, we will never be satisfied, ever, not really, until the nature of our soul is manifest. And in that, Krishna calls it everlasting peace. Everlasting peace means flowing according to your nature. Anything else is against the nature. It only creates more and more difficulty. Looks like some people are familiar with this concept of let me be comfortable in my suffering. So now we're going to continue with this commentary of our Srila Gurudev in verse 4 of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. This is no ordinary scripture. This is a treasure, and treasures within treasures within treasures. So many depths. This is manifest from the heart of Śrī Satyavrata Muni over a long period of time due to his progressive states of transcendental realization. It is placed in Padma Purana by Ved Vyas. In here we have the commentary of Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī. Then we have the commentary, the translation of that commentary by our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Kishori Goswami Mahārāja, and his added commentary within that translation. And then we have the commentary of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta, Nārāyaṇa Goswami Mahārāja. So it is saturated with so much depth, tattva gyan and ras. So much nectar is also there, full of bhav as well. So before entering into this beautiful treasure, we will pray in the words of Raghunath Das Goswami to these divine personalities. Vairaga juga bhakti rasam prayatnair apayanan mam anubhivshamandam kripam buddhiryapada dukaduki sanatanastam prabhum ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest itself within our hearts. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va na chanyam rineham varishadapiha idam deva puranatho gopalabhalam sadami manasya virashtam kimanye namamishwaram sachidanandarupam lasatkundalam gokule brajamanam. So we already did the lead up, speaking about all of these subject matters of mukti. What is mukti? Liberation. Satyavrata Muni is saying, I don't want liberation, which is freedom from suffering or freedom from the dualities, the suffering or the happiness which comes as the automatic effect of that. I don't want this liberation. And even the end goal of liberation, moksha vadim, that is, residence in Vaikuntha, as an associate of Śrīmad Nārāyaṇa. I don't even want that. What do I want? Idam deva purnata gopala balam. I always want to see this beautiful form of Bal Gopal, means very young, beautiful baby Krishna. I always want this vision within my heart, within my mind. I don't want all of these other things. So, Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Goswami Mahārāja is continuing within his commentary, resolving to permanently end their suffering. Some people aspire for sayujya mukti. It means merging into either the effulgence of the Lord or into the form of the Lord. This form of mukti is actually offensive and is fully opposed to bhakti. So we were just saying this, why it's offensive and why it's opposed to bhakti. One, it is not receiving according to the descending path of mercy. It is the ascending path of trying to become, in essence, God or one with. So it's kind of beyond material desire, but it is still like a material desire, because it is still devoid of the nature of the soul, which is to love and serve Krishna. It is lacking that. So it is actually offensive and fully opposed to bhakti. Previously, even the four Kumaras, Śrī Shanak, Śrī Sanandan, Śrī Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar desired this kind of mukti. Previously they did. What is that? There's an editor's footnote. In Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī's Digdarshini Tika, the prayer from Bhagavatam 3.15.49, beginning with Kamam Bhava, is spoken by the four Kumaras during their first direct darshan of Lord Nārayaṇa at the gates of Vaikuntha. Needless to say, by the time they spoke their prayer, they had long since abandoned their desire for Sayujya Mukti. What counteracted? What defeated their desire for merging? The fragrance of the tulsi leaves coming from the feet of the Lord. Just smelling that fragrance took them away from their desire for merging. And instead, what manifested in their heart was the desire to love and serve the Lord. Also, Śrī Sukudev Goswami, we see how in the beginning, in that prayer, Yang Pravrajantam Anapetyam Apetya Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Kataryajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Tarvoginedus Tang Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. So Sutta Goswami is glorifying Śrī Sukudev Goswami. That upon leaving home, he was actually, it is said, in his mother's womb for 16 years. This is all transcendental. Don't try to overcalculate it. There's a whole reason for it, but I'm not going into it. We'll speak about it another time. Anyhow, immediately his father Vyasadeva was calling, it's okay, come out. I assure you that you will not be affected by the material world and the surroundings of the material world. Already Sukudev Goswami inside had this mood, Brahma Gyan. He was firmly fixed in this Brahmeti, means the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So, getting this assurance that he would not be affected by the material world, he immediately left home. He left and walked into the forest. At that time, Vedvya said, oh my son, But Sukadev did not even hear it. Only the trees echoed in response. But later on, Sukadev came back through that area, and instead of walking away, he became intensely attracted. Why? Because Vedvyas was speaking Śrīmad Bhagavatam, especially the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam at that time. And Sukadev Goswami, hearing these beautiful glories of Krishna, his heart changed and he became attracted. From this mood of Brahmagyan, then he was manifesting this mood of love and devotion in service to Krishna. So, it's possible. It's possible by the special mercy of the Lord. But we shouldn't just count on it that I will go in that direction and then someone will come and just rescue me. They're already trying to rescue us in advance, saying, be careful, you're flying a kite on a roof with no ledge, and you're 4 floors up, and you're backing up very close to that ledge. They're screaming to us, be careful, watch what you're doing. And we would be intelligent to receive those instructions and take heed. I was referencing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada's Upakyan Upadesh. So, these 4 Kumaras, their mood was like that. They were focusing on the Brahm aspect, or the impersonal aspect of the Godhead. Even this desire for Sayujya. But upon first smelling the fragrance of the tulsi leaves which have been offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, this awakened something within them, the nature of their Atma, for love and service. They're servants. All jivas are servants of the Lord. Then upon seeing the Lord, upon seeing Śrīmad Nārayaṇa, of course, everything was already done. It was all settled. Their hearts had become like bhaktas. And so here, he said, By the time they spoke that prayer, they had long since abandoned their desire for Sayujya Mukti, or merging into the impersonal feature of the Absolute. However, as Śrī Satyavrata Muni prays for his desired boon, he discards the goal of moksha, Sayujya Mukti, with the words Varam Deva Moksham. And with the words Nam Mokshavadhim Va, he expresses that he does not even want the unending, concentrated happiness of residing in Vaikuntha, the ultimate limit of freedom. We should carefully consider the meaning of Mokshavadhim. Unlike Sayujya Mukti, the other four kinds of mukti are not entirely unfavorable to bhakti. Those who accept these four kinds of mukti exist within the realm of Vaikuntha in two classifications. In one class, Sva Sukaishvarya Uttara Moksha, the desire for one's own happiness and opulence, predominates. Whereas in the other class, Prem Seva Uttara Moksha, one's longing to render loving service to Bhagavan, predominates over all other desires. These two kinds of liberation into Vaikuntha. It's interesting. The desire for one's own happiness and opulence predominates, versus the longing to render loving service to Bhagavan, which predominates. It doesn't seem like it's interesting that one can enter into Vaikuntha with the desire for one's own happiness and opulence, and that is predominating. That sounds very interesting, strange, in a sense. Maybe someone like that can enter into Vaikuntha, but never into Goloka Vrindavan, never into Krishna's pastimes in Braj. Those who long for Prema Sevottara Moksha, those who long for loving service to the Lord, never desire the inferior Svasukaishvaryotara Moksha, means all those opulences and everything else. They never long for those things. They never desire the inferior. The example of the four Kumaras illustrates this. When the four Kumaras experienced the fragrance of the tulsi leaves that had been placed upon the lotus feet of Sri Nārāyaṇa, they utterly abandoned their previous desires for impersonal liberation. They at once became Jnani Bhaktas, devotees who have knowledge of the Lord's absolute divinity, and began seeking after Prema Sevottara Moksha, or the liberation where one longs to render loving service to Bhagavan. Sudevi?
Yeah.
Do you think you can find me that letter from Srila Gurudev about whatever you do, don't associate with, don't take the conceptions of the Maya bodies? Śrādha Bhaktas, pure devotees, however, have one pointed attachment for the loving service of Sri Krishna. They do not even aspire for Prem Sevottara Moksha, wherein some desire for one's own happiness still remains. So it's not necessarily exclusively for Krishna's pleasure and happiness. There's some echo of one's own happiness remaining within the Prema Sevottara Moksha, because there's still some desire for liberation. But Śrādha Bhaktas don't have any desire for any liberation. When Bhagavan offers such one-pointed devotees either of these classes of moksha, of liberation, they never accept it. Therefore, in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3:29-13, Sri Bhagavan says, Divyamanam nagrinanti vinamat sevanam jana. A pure devotee never accepts any kind of moksha, even if I personally offer it to him. Bina mat sevanam means actually without my service. Sanskrit literally translated. Bina means without, mat sevanam, without being able to serve me. Without this, my devotees will never accept any kind of moksha, even if I offer it to him. The unalloyed devotee's only desire is to engage in loving service to Sri Bhagavan. In the history of Vritrasur, narrated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Vritrasur rejected all varieties of moksha, that is, of liberation, and prayed to be able to render service to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Vritrasur is a very interesting personality. In his previous life, he was Chitraketu Maharaj, who was a dear friend, god brother of Lord Shiva. So Chitraketu Maharaj was coming by in his vimana. Vimana means an airplane or aircraft kind of thing controlled by the mind. And he saw a most amazing thing. Lord Shiva is delivering Harikatha to thousands of sages. And Shiva, you know his nature, how he is, how he's dressed. And he had his wife, Parvati, on his lap at that time. And this Chitraketu Maharaj was like, wow, look at this. He was glorifying Lord Shiva. Look how he is when he's giving Bhagavatam. Only someone like Lord Shiva could do something like this. But Parvati took it that he was criticizing. So she said, oh, because of this kind of mood that you have, because it is demonic, you should be a demon. So because he's a pure devotee, he didn't have to accept the curse, but anyhow, he thought, okay, whatever is meant to come will come to me. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatmakatam vipakam. That tolerating all, whatever is coming, the good, the bad, whatever is due to come to me is due to come to me, no problem. But let my mind, hrid, bhag, vapur be my heart, my words, my body, everything, vidadan namaste, always be focused on the Supreme Lord. So he took birth as a big, big demon, Vritrasur, and the demon had to do what demons do. Demons create havoc in the world. And he was even fighting with the demigods and everything, but he was massive, massive. Finally, Lord Indra, after a massive fight with the demigods, Lord Indra was finally able to kill him with his thunderbolt and everything else. But still, to fully kill him, he had to remove the head and the arms. Massive, massive demon, like head up to the clouds, massive. How massive and how strong was he? It took Lord Indra, I think it was at least a celestial year, which was like 1,000 years, with his lightning bolt to remove these limbs. So as he is being finished, his internal nature as a devotee of the Lord is manifesting. And he's offering some of the most beautiful prayers that you can imagine to the Lord. In progressive stages, he's revealing one thing and saying, wait, not this. No, I want this. Wait, not that. No, and he's bringing it from one kind of prayer to another kind of prayer. And finally, Vritrasur, this massive demon who is actually in the process of being killed, is praying for a mood in relationship with the Lord in Gopi Bhav. It's quite amazing how Śrīmad Bhagavatam is revealing this sequence. So here, Vritrasur, he's saying, Nanaka Prishtam na chaparameshtyam, na sarvabhaumam na rasadipatyam, na yoga siddhir apunar bhavamba, samanjasatva virahaya kangshe. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 6:11-25. O ocean of all good fortune, apart from serving your lotus feet, I do not wish for anything. I do not wish to obtain the summit of heaven, Dhruvalok, which is the Vaikuntha planet situated at the zenith of the material cosmos. The highest, most coveted position, you could say, within the material universe would be Dhruvalok. Because what did Dhruva Maharaj pray for when he was in the forest? Nārāyaṇa Muni gave him a prayer. What prayer? Anyone who knows the prayer that Dhruva Maharaj was chanting to receive darshan of the Lord will get 1,000 bhakti points and a bucket of samosas. Come on. Anyone who knows this prayer that Dhruva Maharaj was chanting, you just write it down. So finally, what was he praying for? he was so upset. What was he upset about? So Dhruva Maharaj was the son of Suniti. Suniti means her nature was such.
I can't find it.
Okay, we'll find it later. Thank you. Her nature was such that everything she did or would do was all very good and proper. She was very dharmic, very proper, very good, very simple, very gentle. Suniti. This is the mother of Dhruva Maharaj. His father is King Uttanapad. King Uttanapad was the son of Brahma. I think the son of Lord Brahma. Now, he was a very powerful and prominent king and a progenitor. And he had another wife. Her name was Suruchi. Now, Suruchi means the king had so much ruchi or taste for that queen who was younger and maybe prettier. So he was spending all of his time with her, and because of her beauty and her youth, she completely controlled the king and his mind and everything. So one day, her son, Uttan, was sitting on the lap of his father, King Uttanapad. Dhruva was also a prince, the son of King Uttanapad. So when he saw that his brother was sitting, half-brother, but his brother was sitting on the lap of the king, he also desired to go and sit on the king's lap. His stepmother, but in Vedic society, they don't consider the other wives of the father step or this, they're all mother. So his other mother, she stopped him when he went to go sit on his father's lap. No, you're not qualified. And the father remained silent. You are not qualified. If you want to sit on his lap, then you should take birth from my womb first. Then you can be qualified to sit on his lap. So she got it?
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe? Are we still here? Hare Krishna? It's not moving. Yes, it is. Okay, we're back. I don't know where I ended, so I'm just going to back up a little bit. Dhruva is a prince. A prince. Rajkumar, the son of the king. Because of this, he has royal blood. Means he's a Kshatriya by nature. So his royal blood began to boil. And Śrīmad Bhagavatam says it was as if a snake had been stepped on. Snake who is stepped on becomes so upset, so angry. Yes. Thank you, Haripriya. Yes?
I don't know if this is it, but will you just...
It's something, but it's not the
Yeah,
letter.
I know.
Okay.
The letters like my darling sons and daughters.
Yes.
I've been. I know.
Maybe
I
it's
posted
in the database.
Okay.
Anyway, don't worry about it for now.
All right.
So this Dhruva, he was so upset. He ran home. He was upset. He was crying. His mother asked him, "What's going on?" He told her everything. She said, "What can I say? What can I do? Your father is smitten with her and I can't say anything. Otherwise I'll be in the same position as you." Yes, smitten. So Dhruva also told her, "My stepmother said I have to pray to Nārāyaṇa." And Dhruva's mother said, "Well, it is true. If you want anything, akama sarva kamava, moksha kamava, anything you want, you pray to the Lord. Whether you have full desires or no desires at all or anything, it's always good to pray to the Lord." So Dhruva Maharaj was intent upon seeing the Lord, except he didn't want to sit on his father's lap. He decided, "I want a kingdom greater than that of my grandfather, Lord Brahma. I want the greatest, highest kingdom in this entire material creation." He wanted the best thing he could think of. So his material desire was extreme. And then he went into the forest with this intense desire, I want to see Bhagavan. He was so young, so young. But because that desire was so great, that eagerness, that greed, Bhagavan's mercy appeared to him in the form of Śrī Narada Muni. And Narada Muni told him first, you're too young, you should go home. And he was like, no, I'm going to do this, do or die. Narada Muni thought, whoa, okay. Well, let me help you then. Let me give you this mantra, which Devotee put. Wow, Devotee is on the ball. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Dhruva Maharaj was chanting this. He began doing intense austerities, and within a period of 6 months, he had darshan of the Lord by his intense endeavor and by connecting with the pure devotee of the Lord. He had this great, great material desire. I want this kingdom, Dhruvalok. He didn't want Dhruvalok, he just wanted a kingdom greater than that of Lord Brahma, who is the first created being within this universe. In other words, the best, most opulent, most highest coveted position within this universe. Upon seeing the Lord, he didn't even know what to say. He was completely shocked. He couldn't say anything. The Lord touched his head with his conch shell. Was it as if the goddess of knowledge and learning was dancing on his tongue, and beautiful prayers manifested, but they were manifested from the mood within his heart. Oh my Lord, what have I been praying for? You are like the most valuable gem in all creation, and I was praying for bits of broken glass and the husk of rice. I was praying for nothing. And so he offered so many beautiful prayers, but the Lord said, because you approached me with this mood, this is how you were praying to me for all of this time, you will have to attain the result of that. But you will not be attached or bound to it. You will always maintain your devotion to me. But still, as a service, you will have to look after this. So, Srimad Nārayaṇa granted him his own planet, known as Dhruvalok, the highest planet within this material universe, which is not considered actually within the material universe, because when the dissolution takes place, that planet does not disappear. That planet is considered Vaikuntha within this material realm. So it's a very special place. So Dhruva Maharaj had desired that greatest thing. So I do not wish to obtain the summit of heaven, or Dhruvalok, the Vaikuntha planet situated at the zenith of the material cosmos, nor the highest seat of power within the universe, the seat of Lord Brahma. Apparently the seat of Dhruva is higher. Anyhow, nor have I any desire for sovereignty over all of the earth. So many persons desire this. In this world, there are so many whose goal is to rule the earth along with God. Isn't it? That I want to be a controller, a demigod, a mini controller in essence. There's God, and then there's the demigods who control. In other words, I want to go to the heavenly planets. I want to enjoy and I want to control. I want to rule over the earth along with God. That is not the aspiration for any pure devotee. Nor do I want sovereignty of all of the planets down to Rasatal. And you see this in the constant fighting between the demigods and the demons. They're always seeking sovereignty. I want to control the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Bali Maharaj was in the process of taking Achman, means making the vow that now I am in charge of all of the planetary systems, the upper, middle, and lower. Who appeared in front of him? And took everything. 3 small steps. Whoever says that, whoever tells right away, they get rasamalai. Who appeared in front of Bali Maharaj and took everything from him. So Bali Maharaj also wanted this. He wanted to rule all of the planets, from the upper down to the lowest. Hiranyakashipu also. Hiranyakashipu took over the heavenly planets and was sitting in the throne of Indra, ruling over the universe. How powerful was he? He took all of the power of all the demigods himself. He had that power. He had the power over karma and time and everything else. It's a pretty heavy, powerful demon. So the demons are always seeking to rule and control everything. So I don't have desire for sovereignty over all of the planets down to Rasatal, which are flooding with sense enjoyment. I do not long for mastery over all of the yoga siddhis, nor even for the end of repeated birth and death. That is moksha, the end of repeated birth and death. The desire for that is the desire for liberation or moksha. Interesting. I do not long for mastery over all the yoga siddhis. So the siddhis are the perfections of different processes of yoga. And there's so many different perfections of practices of yoga. Now, I'm not talking about bhakti yoga. I'm talking about the pranayam, the asanas, and those things, but with their end goal. Siddhi, perfection. But what kind of perfection? It's actually some kind of power. The power to multiply yourself in essence, the power to become very big and heavy, the power to become extremely small, the power to create any planet, the power to become so light you can walk on water, the power to reach into any other plane of existence and pull any valuable or anything from there, the power to enter into a river here and come out thousands of miles at another point in the next moment, the power to control and manipulate others' minds. So many people are doing yajnas, even these days, even as devotees, for the purpose of control and manipulation, taking the shelter of different devas for this purpose. It's like for yogic siddhis. So much power and they exercise it. And this can easily come by the process of bhakti if your bhakti is being done with a desire for other things like control. By chanting Hare Krishna and by following the process of bhakti, this can actually feed your material desires. Without that, you might not be able to attain those results, but easily you can attain those powers through the process of bhakti. But the desire for those powers are actually opposed to bhakti, real bhakti. So bhakti, following the practices of bhakti can bring that about, but a real bhakta will never take advantage of any of these things. They always aspire to be very humble, loving servant of the Lord with this mood. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. Ooh, looks like Raktambar beat Devotee to the Bamande. Very good. So, how can one always chant the holy names of the Lord? In the most humble state of mind, feeling oneself lower than a straw on the street, more tolerant than a tree, always ready to give respect to others and never expecting any respect for oneself, never seeking it or anything. Really being humble to Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. In such a state of mind, in such a state of being, one can always take shelter of the holy names of the Lord. But if one is moving along the path of seeking power, strength, mental control of others, manipulation, and all of these kind of things, this is diametrically opposed to what is required to progress on the path of bhakti. Who's Dhanashri Mohapatra Vani Mahārāja? Hare Krishna. So we were speaking about this desire or mastery over the yoga siddhis. According to the definition of pure bhakti, given by Śrīla Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11, when it says Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam, What is not bhakti or not favorable to pure bhakti? The gyan, the knowledge which aims at impersonal liberation, this is not favorable for bhakti. Karma, reward-seeking activity. Whatever I'm doing for my own material benefit. Material means I'll do any activity in bhakti, like put 10 rupees in front of Bhagavan in any temple, and I pray to Bhagavan, please let me be rich. Please give me health and wealth and beautiful wife and beautiful husband and beautiful children and nice big house and this and that. This is karma mishra bhakti. It's the activity of bhakti mixed with desire for some fruitive result. So jnana, desire for impersonal liberation. Karma, desire for some fruitive result. Adi, anavritam. Adi means and so forth. Anavritam. Bhakti is completely devoid of all of these things. The and so forth also implies, and if you see the commentaries of every single one of our acharyas on this verse, which they do comment on it quite frequently, this adi, meaning and so forth, means all of these things that we're hearing here. Yoga siddhis, desire for that. Desire for any of the powers, desire for moksha, desire for the highest position in the material world, sovereignty over all the earth, excessive wealth, this, that, or anything else. Those yoga siddhis as well. It's mentioned directly. And it's not covered by all things which are not really bhakti. Some people are, okay, so today is not auspicious for me to go to the temple. Today's not, let me check my astrology. Ooh, Panchang says no bhakti today. Like that. So it's not covered by all of these other things. Desire for power, position, siddhis, mystic powers, and all of like this. It has nothing to do with that. It is only exclusively for Krishna, for his happiness, for his pleasure, for his benefit. What is favorable for him, that is pure bhakti. In the same way, Śrī Satyavrata Muni is not even asking for a boon related to the utmost limit of moksha, or residence in Vaikuntha. What is the time? Ooh, I just glanced ahead. My favorite verses are coming up. Oh well. We'll have to continue tomorrow. But today was very exciting, remembering the pastimes of Vritrasur, Dhruva Maharaj. And I felt like I was
to Dhruvatila with them.
Yes, I felt like I was just taking a trip with all of you through the entire universe, to the top of the universe and everywhere. So it's quite exciting. Also remembering these Śrīmad Bhagavatam and these kathas. Really, all of those are placed there to teach us, to bring us to the point of developing pure, unalloyed devotion. The history of Dhruva Maharaj is present there to teach us that. The history of Vritrasur is to teach us that in any condition, no matter what, even in the process of being killed, with conviction, one can pray for that most beautiful, highest goal.
And Anjali, if you're there today and if you're there tomorrow, then I will speak a little bit about when Srila Gurudev first gave us the order to travel and preach and how I became so very loud. So is she there?
Maybe, yeah, she was there before.
Because she asked that question like 2 days ago, and I don't feel so up to it today, but tomorrow
I have to address something right now. Rakhtamba Prabhu asked a question about yesterday's katha, the statement that death doesn't change one's past, that the act of dying will not suddenly qualify anyone to go back to Godhead, unless we have lived in such a way that our meditation was already 100% Krishna conscious. How to understand that one might need to take one more birth and maybe even die as a child to shed the last bad karma, or take birth as an animal in the dham if one made offenses and then go back to Godhead. How do these two go together? Srila Prabhupada made the statement on numerous occasions that those who reside in Vrindavan but do all kinds of simple activities, who are following the process but they have faith in Krishna, but still doing simple activities, they may take birth again in the dham as the animals, like the monkeys, the dogs, and the pigs, and receive the chastisement of the Brajabasis, by which they will gradually become purified and then again be reinstated in another human form where they can continue to do their bhajan or their practice unencumbered and unimpeded by their tendency to commit sinful activities. So this is one thing. Then there's another thing. Our very last birth in any world, if we are going to Krishna, back to Krishna, especially in Vrindavan, will be from the womb of a gopi in any earthly Vrindavan where Krishna is performing his pastimes in any universe. That'll be the last birth, and from there we will be naturalized into Krishna's pastimes in Bhoma Vrindavan, earthly Vrindavan, and when Krishna winds up his pastimes, we wind up with him in the transcendental realm, in essence as if we were never not there. It would just be completely natural and normal. This has been explained by our acharyas. The other day I told how Srila Gaura Govinda Mahārāja explained that death is a doorway. Death is a doorway, meaning as I am in this life, in this world, I will continue after death. What Krishna says, yang yang vapi smaram bhavam. Bhava means consciousness. It doesn't mean last moment of thought. It means general consciousness. What one is attached to. What one is prioritizing. And we see this in the life of Bharat Maharaj. How he had become so attached to a deer that it became his constant absorption. Instead of Bhagavan, he was absorbed in this deer. He wasn't able to do his sadhan, his bhajan, or anything anymore. Even when he was chanting, meditating, or anything, he was only thinking of my deer, deer. And one day his beautiful deer never showed up. He became so worried, he went searching everywhere for him. And in the process of searching, meditating on the deer, he fell off a cliff to his own demise. And in his next life, he took birth from the womb of a deer. So this is what happens. And this is a proof from Śrīmad Bhagavatam that as one's consciousness is, they will continue along those lines. Did you find it?
No, this is what I would like to add to this point.
Okay. Part 2. This is called the After Program
I just accidentally found it. I clicked on someone's picture and this came up. So if you could...
How do these two go together? So, to have a birth in the dham, to be raised in the dham, and to be actually practicing the path of bhakti, maybe some anarthas are still there, but that is no ordinary situation. To have that impression and samskar, maybe some weaknesses there, that's a very different thing than, let's say, going on Harinam once a month, and then the rest of the time just doing my regular material life, going out and eating in the restaurants and drinking and watching whatever TV I want and doing, this. What is the general state of consciousness? Oh, I can say, I'm going on Harinam once a month, so therefore I am saved. But what is my general state of consciousness? So what Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj was explaining was that it's not that, oh, you went on Harinam, so now you are qualified as a pure devotee of Krishna to go into Krishna Loka. It's not like that. If right after that Harinam, your plan was to go back to doing whatever nonsense you do, then how would that give us qualification for Krishna Prem?
It does give impressions, though.
Some impression is there, and there is definitely some benefit. We cannot claim that there is no benefit. There is definitely something. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, who told Raghunath Das Goswami, If death was the qualification for Krishna praying, don't you think we all would have finished our lives by now? So now I want to read what Sudevi just shared, because the question was asked directly to Srila Prabhupada by Harikesh. I'm curious about the destination of a neophyte devotee. If a neophyte devotee is, with determination, endeavoring for purification, but he were to meet with death as he is still influenced by the lower modes, although he is seriously trying, then does he take another birth or does he go to Krishna? Prabhupada: no, he has to take another birth. If he is not completely purified, he has to suffer another birth. Nobody is allowed to enter into the spiritual unless he is 100% pure. No allowance. Then he has to. It is said, Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yogo Brashto Shanjayate. He is given another chance to take a birth in a very pure Brahmin family or a rich family so that he may take again the chance. It's not that he is just allowed to enter. He is given a good chance again. That is his benefit. Even if you are a failure, still your next birth as a very first-class human being is guaranteed. So there you go. That's the answer to your question, actually. Sudevi said, as you asked that question, she just stumbled upon this at the very moment.
It was an accident.
Accidentally. In other words, it wasn't an accident. It was fed by
Srila Prabhupada wanted you to hear this.
So, it is guaranteed. Birth as a very first-class human. It is not for others. It is only for the yogis. Therefore, it is said that what is the loss even if he is a failure? Chakvasvadhanmam charanamujaya bhajam hare bhajanya pakvo tapate tato yadi yatra kvaba abhadram abhud amushyakim.
Very important verse.
This verse is very important from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Even by sentiment, if one comes to Krishna consciousness and discharges the regulative duties, chanting Hare Krishna, his next life is guaranteed as a human being. Comes to Krishna consciousness and does their sadhana, follows that sadhana, discharging their regulative duties and chanting Hare Krishna, then your next life is guaranteed as a human being. Even if one does it for some time, that he is not perfect, still his next life is guaranteed. But for others, there's no such guarantee. If one, and Prabhupada is referring to someone who does not follow this process, even if he discharges his so-called duties, his material duties, there is no guarantee that he'll become a human being. How much do you want me to read?
I just wanted him to hear that part. And then,
here, this is important too.
Yes.
Prabhupada continues later on, unless one is perfect, he cannot remember Krishna. That's not possible. That is not possible. That is only a theory. He must be perfect, somehow or other. He is fallen, so Krishna gives him the chance. That is the special concession for a devotee. Some way or other, you become a devotee, even if you cannot finish the whole job. No, in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution.
Yes.
Meaning whatever you have done in the path of bhakti up until wherever you have done, that you will not lose. But we should be careful for Vaishnava aparad, it can be stunted or covered. So some way or other, if you cannot finish the whole job, if you fall down, still there is a guarantee that you get your birth in a very good society. That means in a very good and favorable situation for continuing the process of bhajan.
Just an interruption in this, because Devotee Didi is saying, oh, please, not in a wealthy family, but in a Vaishnava family. But I once heard our Srila Gurudev explaining that why they say also a wealthy family is because you don't have to worry about working, about spending your life gathering food and trying to support yourself and living hand to mouth. If you're born into a wealthy family, but you have these samskars of Krishna consciousness, then it may be, if you've been born in that favorable situation, that you won't be held back by those kinds of necessities of day-to-day life, that automatically it's no problem. You can run on the path of bhakti. So that Gurudev was explaining it like that, because we hear that wealth, being born very educated, very beautiful, very wealthy, these things can also hold us back. But in this case, Gurudev said that it means that you won't have to worry about basically plowing the field and working hand to mouth, that it will be easier for you so that you have nothing holding you back.
I just keep seeing Raghunath Das Goswami. It is said that his family was so wealthy, in today's money they would be like trillionaires. They had so much land, so much wealth. But because of his own nature, he had been born into that family, and he was the only heir to the father or the uncle's wealth, the only heir. But because of his previous samskars, you can say, his previous life's impressions, and we'll just say it from this perspective, he didn't have any desire for any of that. But all of that wealth enabled him that he didn't have to spend his time struggling for survival. Instead, he could spend all of his time meditating on the Lord.
Because you see here in Vrindavan, you can see so many people, even the sweepers, everyone, they're chanting Radhe, Radhe, but they're so engaged in having to do their job. So many people just collecting wood, doing so many things that they're just struggling for existence, even though they're in Vrindavan. So it's considered to be a benefit. This is why we need to understand when the Vaishnavas are speaking about certain kinds of wealth, what it means. Sometimes it can be the cause of degradation, and sometimes the cause of elevation, as we hear in the Sudama Vipra story.
Yes, so with those conceptions, is it okay?
She's like, okay, a wealthy first-class family then, please.
Just because someone is born in a family of Vaishnavas, it also does not necessarily mean that they will take advantage of it.
We have a lot of friends who have given up the path of bhakti.
It's an opportunity. What someone does with that opportunity is also according to their previous life's impressions.
A wealthy first-class Vaishnava family.
Wow, wealthy first, yeah, like Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, wealthy first-class Vaishnava family. Look who came from him, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
But
Prabhupada.
even then, we also have to understand that our desire should be such that next birth will be conducive. We know Vaishnava families who have children that they bring up as Vaishnavas, but then when it comes time to marriage, they don't want their children to be Vaishnavas. They want them to make money. They want them to do all these extra things. We had a friend that her father ripped her neck beads off of her because no boy wanted to marry her because she was a devotee. Because
they were afraid she would become like Mira.
So basically, it's more about Shri Gurudev, wherever I am meant to go. But like Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur says, whether it's a worm in stool, whether it's as an animal, but let it be born. Let me be born in the house of your devotee. Let me take their remnants. Let me be in that association. Because we can be born in so many different ways. But even then, like Raghunath Das Goswami, they practically shackled him. So, and
they also tried with so many other means. Physical shackling, but they wanted to physically shackle him, but they realized if we cannot shackle him with Miss Universe, how are we going to shackle him with these physical shackles? So, one thing I have to add at this point. Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. When people would say, oh, if just in my next life I can take birth in India and be a brahmachari in the mutt, Gurudev would look at them like, what?
Is this what I'm teaching you?
Have I taught you this? So many of these brahmacharis just want to get married and go to the West and make money. This is not what I've taught you. Why are you desiring this thing? You should only have one desire. What is that?
Shama Sundar
Shikanda Shekara
Smerahasam
Radha Dasyam.
It doesn't matter how I attain that goal. Gurudev said, this is our goal. This is our everything, and we're doing everything in bhakti for that. And whatever steps we have to take along the way, meaning whatever births we take along the way, that focus, that determination doesn't change. This is why hearing about Dhruva Maharaj is so important, because he had nishta. He did not give up. He was so determined, and he attained the Lord. But we want more than just darshan or to attain. We want to love and to serve. So whatever births I have to take, whatever needs to be done in the process, no harm. But this is my goal. And my Gurudev will take me by the hand if I hold on tight. That is his promise.
Yes. If you make a goal very clear, very, very clear, then everything that happens on the way to the goal is a necessary step in attaining that. Just like if you are in, let's say, London and you want to drive to Aberystwyth, you look at the map, you find the best way, you set your route, and you go. But on the way, oh, we need to go to the toilet, we need petrol, we have to stop, we have to go through a toll bridge. So many things are necessary along the way. And so it might be that this happens, a birth happens, so many things happen along the way. But if we have our goal set as Radha Dasyam, then everything that happens along the way can be considered, in essence, favorable and helpful toward the end goal.
Right. Puranda Prabhu Dandavat Pranam, he says, Krishna may also keep a devotee poor just so that he doesn't have the chance to engage in so much material sense gratification, and therefore always stays humble and has the chance to get disgusted with material life and fully surrender to the Lord and become a great devotee. Yes, this is the point. In whatever way is necessary for us in our progression, Guru and Krishna, especially hold on to the feet of Guru. that's the same.
So pray for Radha Dasya, birth after birth.
There you go. And hold on tight to the feet and to the hands of Sri Guru. This is our main thing. Gurudev will even protect us from Krishna, meaning our material desires as to what we think and how we want to serve Krishna. Krishna responds, but Guru knows what is the nature of our Atma and how to help us very quickly attain that. So hold on tight to the feet of Sri Guru.
And, what do you say? Hold my...
And don't let go.
And she said, I won't let go. And he said, never let go. So.
When Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur wanted to find a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he couldn't find it easily. In the next birth, as long as the internet exists, AI will put the teachings of the Goswamis like in the database. So in the next life, a simple search might awaken your love and remembrance of Krishna. Our acharyas also say that maybe because of our progression, we take birth on any earth planet, maybe at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, maybe at the time of Bhaktivedānta Thakur, maybe at the time of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and we continue our progression like that.
Until we enter into
Chaitanya's, yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. So who knows? That's not our business. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj would say that's not our business. That's Guru's business. Our business is to hold tight to their moods, their conceptions, their instructions, and their mercy, their grace. Guru's business is to take care of the rest. We can't even understand. We think we just take birth in this Kali Yuga again and again, but there are other Kali Yugas in other earth planets. We have no idea what's in store for us, but as long as we're holding on to Sri Guru, then everything is perfect.
Where were we 1,000 births in the future from now? Maybe we have come at the time of Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. And the next time at the time of Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivedānta Thakur.
Well, if you think about it, there's a 200-year period where there was a very dark time, where the teachings of our Goswamis were hidden, Vrindavan was hidden. So then Mahaprabhu came and again infused this Braja Bhav into the world. We may have been in any other earth planet, and we've come to such a point where we couldn't go further, and then we're drowned in the mercy, that deluge of mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada, our Gurudev. I mean, it's amazing. Talk about Christmas and gifts. I mean, just think about all of this. But yes, the internet And the easily accessible teachings of our Guru Varg is unprecedented. We acknowledge this so often, so thank you for saying that. We don't even have to, write the books down. Before, if you wanted a copy, first of all, the Brahmins held all of the literatures. They weren't just given to the layman. And so they were holding on to all of those, and they were making money also like that. So it's a very extraordinary time that we can have access to the heart of our acharyas and to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna just at our fingertips. But only if we enter through the moods of our Guru Varga will we understand.
Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Raktambar Prabhu said that Harikesh used to be his guru, so it was quite interesting that
he asked that question.
That quote came up, and it was instantaneous. So
look at, he says Kali Yuga ki jai. Yeah, this Kali Yuga. Dhanya Kali Yuge Rache Tanya Yavata.
Purandar Prabhu could sing that.
Is that part of Purandar?
I don't know. I think it was. I don't know.
So this Kali Yuga is known as Dhanya Kali Yuga, or the most fortunate Kali Yuga, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Nityananda Prabhu appeared, and all of their associates through our Guru Parampara have appeared. So we are so fortunate.
So fortunate.
Oh, in this Kali Yuga, one great quality, although it is an ocean of faults, simply by doing Kirtan of Krishna,
Hare Nam, Hare Nam,
one can attain to the highest destination. Kirtanareva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Raje.
This is so exciting.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। today.
Hari Hari Bol. It's our Gurukul.
Hari Bol Purandar, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
So thank you all very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga. And especially, we feel indebted to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to engage in our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai. Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai.
And yes, tomorrow new outfit. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.